Where you at? You with those guys from Bourbon Street, where all names have been changed to protect the guilty. I'm Joey Alonzo, your host. Disclaimer, there will be language, so get the kids out now. Get them out now. Now. Listen, you're going to hear stories that you're going to go, man, there's no way this can't be true. They are. And if you hear your name in a story that sounds vaguely familiar, hey, just a coincidence. My partners in crime are...
Pedro Lucero. Pete's not here with us today.
But his chair is.
He's always here. He's here in spirits.
Hey, buddy.
Speaking of spirits.
Whoa!
I didn't do that.
Yes, you did. You did.
Our very, very special guest today, guys, ladies and gentlemen, Brad Bohanna in the house.
Thank you for having me on.
A round of applause.
There you go.
That's the beauty.
That's the beauty of it.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks you guys for having me on.
Oh man, thank you. This is just definitely a special treat. You know, we've been bringing people on. You know, we've had a few of them come through already, and it's really cool to see how we have actually owner and operators coming in to talk about their history on Bourbon Street. You know, because I feel like you're going to have some staff members that might want to come on afterwards and be like, he was full of shit, man. And I was like, I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so, man, fuck that. You know, but that's why I'm glad you guys are coming on, right? Because eventually we want everybody to come and tell their stories, because everybody has such a unique story, man. Like, everything we do on the street, like, we've been through so much on the street. I know you have too. But yeah, look, so before we get into your story, you know what time it is, Joey.
It's that time. History on Bourbon.
As soon as we get a female in here, we're going to call it her story.
Her story. There you go. A little bit of little tidbit information. The old Absinthe House, that building's been owned by the same family for over 200 years.
You said this in the last episode.
I did. Will you let me finish?
No, I'm excited because I'm thinking that you have more information for us.
No, that's it. I'm done.
No, oh, come on.
Rumor has it
that
General Andrew Jackson, Jean Lafitte, and Governor Claiborne, in a secret room, planned the defense of New Orleans in the Battle of 1812.
Really?
If you go up the stairs, when you go up the stair, halfway through, there's this little bitty window, and supposedly that was the secret room. There was a floor. If you go in the Absinthe House, the ceilings are a little bit high. You can see the little window. But that's the room, and that's where they...
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, you know, it's funny that you...
It's spooky, too. They got some ghosts.
Everything's spooky out here. It all smells like beer and piss. But, like, what's really interesting is, you know, the more we're doing this show, the more I'm obviously looking things up to talk about. And I'm really fascinated with the fact that most people, to us, Bourbon Street didn't start till the 80s. Right?
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't know is this area was populated in the 1700s, and Bourbon Street as an entertainment district, the glory days were the 50s and the 60s, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
Obviously Prohibition.
Sure.
But prior to that, like the red light district, it was a real thing. It's a real thing.
It
right?
was.
And speaking of red light district,
I'm the expert on this.
Is that where you? Is that where you found this guy, man? All right.
Pedro was a client.
I was there for the 2 for 1. So tell us a little bit about your history, Brad, and and then work your way into what you do and all that fun stuff.
My history is a little bit different than most owners here because I started from the very bottom. Okay. I mean, I started as a doorman. I moved here in 1995 with $500 in my pocket and lived in a weekly hotel. So I did it the OG way.
Yeah,
so,
much respect for that, man.
And
much respect.
I tell everybody, I came down here. There's a lot of people that came down here with that same dream that I did, and I was just either naive or lucky enough to pull it off. So
it's this street will eat you alive. You didn't let it.
Right.
And you didn't let it, and that's the difference.
And I have a lot to, I came down from New Orleans. I moved from Missouri, so everybody, when he came down here, you were a Yankee. And then I married a Southern girl, became a damn Yankee. And so,
but you were from the show me state.
Oh yeah. So it was like country come to town. But I moved down here, and I'd visited a few times because my wife was going to school at LSU, and I was like, man, I really like this. there's something about it. And
are we allowed to talk about your wife? She's a wonderful person as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's a wide open.
Yeah.
And so we moved down here, and I started out, and I started out as working the door at Tropical Isle, and then within 10 years, I worked myself into being the third owner of it. So it was kind of a nice little thing, and I had my run there for a while, and then we had the Bourbon Street breakup, like everything else does, and then
it's funny how like all the guests that we've been having, and we all have those I got fired stories, or we had this falling apart.
Yep.
We all have them, but the magical part about it is that we end up coming back, right? Like we find a way to come back if it's not somebody calling you and being like, "Hey, man, I need you," or in your case, right? Like it's wonderful. That's how you know we're a family, even though a lot of people don't get along with the Tropical Isle family.
Right.
There's a lot of times you have jobs down here and you're like, this ain't gonna last. This is and most and the owners down here have a reputation of not going out the most kindly with the employees, and so you're sitting there, you're like, you got to sit there and kind of realize there's going to be an end to this, and you just got to be ready for it at some point. Whenever you're straw, you get the short straw.
Yes.
But you are still active, right?
Somewhat.
You still have.
I just sold spirits after 25 years. I'm officially off of Bourbon Street.
Wait, you had that for 25 years?
No. I've been on Bourbon Street for 25 years.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
But yeah, I had that one for 13 years.
The 25-year plan.
Yeah. So I'm getting to the age where I did it. My kids don't really have that much interest in it, and I didn't own the building on Bourbon, so I'm just keeping everything that I own and I can control because.
Deuce, you ruined the lineage. That's you, Deuce.
He decided he wanted to go to law school. He started Loyola this week.
Smart man. Smart man.
Very smart. Very smart.
He went his mother's route, other than what I did. He didn't want the Bourbon Street. The Bourbon Street doesn't pay that well to most people. It comes at a cost.
That it does, my friend. That it does.
That's why I'm 52 years old and I look like this.
Look, we talked about this on your show, man. I'm like, how are we still alive? We're pickled.
I'm pickled. I'll be 59 on Wednesday.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Joey.
That's right. Me.
Isn't it crazy how much the street has changed? It goes in these cycles, though.
Absolutely.
It always
Absolutely.
does.
So tell us a little bit more about. So you did Tropical Isle, and you.
I heard breakup. I want to know about the breakup.
I want to know about the breakup, and I also want to know. Like you're also, is it Turtle Bay?
I'm in Turtle Bay. I'm Decatur still.
You still have that?
Yes, I still have
so
that.
I wore, I don't have any other turtle shirts, so I wore.
Yeah, they got to represent, baby.
This is my version of Turtle Bay.
So I'm still in the game enough to know better.
Here's what's really interesting too, because now to talk about Turtle Bay and what you have. Can you tell us the difference between because we all know there's a difference. Lower Decatur has its own vibe. Bourbon Street always has its own vibe. Frenchman has its own vibe. We're going to have everyone come on, but you were lucky enough to have locations on both. How do you feel? Like, how'd you traverse that? Right? Because as an owner, you represent your places. And I know there's a couple other bar owners and managers here that worked as well as here in Frenchman. And it was worlds apart.
Yeah, they're both different beasts, but they both have their advantages and disadvantages. The Decatur thing's more, you've got a local thing, and it kind of changes 3 times a day. It's kind of got a little bit of a lunch crowd. That's a normal kind of crowd.
Okay.
Then it gets into maybe like a nighttime kind of eating, and then it becomes about 2 a.m. It becomes stripper and hooker in heaven. You know what I mean? It's like that's where Pedro. That's where.
What part of heaven? I do hooker and heaven in the same sentence.
There you go.
But it's definitely a different vibe 3 times a day. And
that's awesome.
And you've got to come in there and you got to realize what you have. And it's like it's actually a special place that you can pull that off.
Yeah.
And it's hard, because you can run. You can run people off. It's just different. The crowds change. You know what I mean? Once you guys people get off work, they want to have a place that's their own that they can afford and have good food and time, and that's just that's kind of what we specialize in.
You were involved.
Yes.
You were involved all the time. I worked for BB King's, which was back on Decatur way up by and the owner, God rest his soul, he wasn't involved. So he brings me in to do local stuff because he had all these Memphis musicians and they did great. once we got the local in there, boom, it started working and working. But you have to be involved as an owner because, like you said, it changes.
Yeah.
God, every hour.
Yeah.
The crowds. I mean, you've got to change with it.
And like Bourbon Street, you'll have, especially nowadays, it seems like it's event based. So you have the big crowds, and you'll make a ton of money this month, and the next month it may be a little bit tight, and Decatur stays a little more even keel.
Consistent, yeah.
And we just got lucky when I got that building. Is right when Frenchman started getting hot, so it was kind of like the corridor between Frenchman and the Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
So
Right,
it was the best of both worlds there. So you kind of got them coming and going both ways. So it both of them has put a lot of food on my table, and I have no regrets with either one.
Beautiful.
Yeah. No, and one thing I like about specifically that side of Decatur, if we're going to talk about sides, it's really interesting how Storyville's changed hands so much. Right? But yet all those, you got Maximo's, the restaurant, Turtle Bay.
Like Maximo's has been gone. There's been 2 restaurants there since. I mean, it's just, it's the face of the French Quarter is changing, and I don't know if it's for the better or for the worse, but I mean, kind of the 90s. You remember the 90s, we had that little bit of a downflow, and then kind of, I think the federal police came in, and then it just kind of came back. And but this is the most strange it's been in a long time since COVID.
Yeah, it's we talked about that in a couple episodes as well. Is that everything here, for as much as you think is cyclical, it's not.
Yeah,
it's got this weird flow. Like, we have to change with the times. And there's a lot of bar managers and owners here that didn't do that, right? Like they were just stuck in their ways, and they're like, we're making money, let's keep making money like this. And I'm like, well, okay, give it another 2 years, and then you got to change that up.
Well, and also the city has changed also. We used to get all those huge conventions. We would guarantee it was so packed.
Yeah.
But then the convention center and the hotel started getting smart. Hey, let's do an event here, give them all the free booze they want, and they won't go down to Bourbon. And that's what happened. That's what started to happen.
Right. And then, I mean, right now, when it was Harrah's, because now it's Caesar, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's when they started putting together Fulton Street, and they're like, we're going to do our own Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
Failed, but whatever. I could see what they were doing with that, and it's worked for them to a certain extent. But that's the one thing that Bourbon, Decatur, and French Quarter in general, you can't mimic this. Right. Like you've done your fair travel. We've all done our fair share of traveling. You got your Ybor City, not Bourbon Street. Right. You got even what's the one inside Disney in Orlando, the Bourbon that's their Bourbon Street. It's nice, but it's not Bourbon Street.
No.
Like there's so many different.
It smells
places.
too good to be Bourbon Street. First of all.
Yeah, like we had a club on 6th Street in Austin. Nothing like Bourbon. It's more college based. So that's the one thing about this place that's always been.
It is, and it's going through a change right now. I mean, it really is. I remember at one point it was all T-shirt shops,
right,
and strip clubs.
Yeah.
Now the T-shirt shops are disappearing. It's more restaurants, and so it's all everything changes.
I think a lot of those master leases have kind of came open. The people had for a long time, and it's going to change. You'll see some new personalities, and we just got to, as a city, we got to realize that there's a lot more competition now. There's a lot of other cities that have the same facilities we have, and it's cheaper. They feel safer, and sometimes
safer.
That's the thing.
The big one.
And sometimes we just think we're New Orleans, and it's okay, but we still have to. You have to go there and be safe. Just like this year, I was like thinking about like the Christmas parties, like the people in New Orleans, like Metairie, and like the Metairie doesn't even they don't come like they used to come.
Right.
I mean, because of that.
You just hit on a topic that we love to talk about, parties, and that's our Christmas parties. I've never been to one of your Christmas parties or Tropical Isle. And I'm really. We'll talk about that later, but let's keep talking about your story. Just so remember that, because that's when a lot of fun stuff happens.
But you're just thinking, like, those people are. I think when COVID happened, they realized there were some other options out there. And they go there and they could park easier. And we got to get better at being a service industry. Because when I first got here, you were taught. The owners would tell you, "Go, hey, that guy's got $100 in his pocket, $100 bill in your pocket. I want you to get out there. I don't care if he ever comes back." We have to change our perspective, because we have to get repeat business because there's competition now.
Well, that's what made us so good in the 90s, remember? And that's why we got that nice little peak bump right at the end of the 90s, because, man, I remember being on stage, and every year I'd have clientele, people come in and we're like, "Hey, I remember you," and they'd stay without you putting in as much effort, but they would still like, "Oh, this is what I know. This is how they treat me here." and you take care of them. And it was never. And I know some of those owners that are like, I want their money now, and I'm like,
and
you kind of want their money every year because they're going to come back.
And because to them, this is their local bar. They come here twice a year. This is where they go. They feel like they're local.
Pete's got people that come. I thought they. He says, I thought you guys lived here. No, we're from Kentucky. They come in like every. What do you think? Is it 4 or 5 weeks? They come in.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Absolutely.
We just got to get better when we're and we just got to show them some respect too, and realize there's competition out there because we're not the prettiest girl at the dance ananymore sometimes.
No, you hit the nail on the head.
We never were. We were never the prettiest girl.
But we were the most fun.
We were the shot girls at the party. That's what we were.
No, but service. I mean, I mentioned it before. Back in the day. Now it's a little farther back. Famous store would have the servers right by the door.
Yeah.
For happy hour, get the guests, sit them down, get that 1 drink minimum. But they were always there to serve them. They didn't have to go look for a drink. They were always there, there. They don't do that. They don't do that anymore. So and they might be dated, but they just don't do it anymore.
No, and that's such, like you said, man. And that's kind of one reason why we're doing the show too. Is like we feel like if more people understood where we came from and what we did to make the street better back early in the day, like let's do that again. The street's not going anywhere.
Right.
It's losing business, but it's still here.
Like it was kind of more mafioso style back in the 90s. Someone was kind of like causing havoc and he would be gone. You know what I mean? It was like either oh we're Freddy the Freak went.
We're talking about you, Mr. Nick.
I mean, it absolutely was. It absolutely was. And that's something we were talking about earlier when Jimmy Ensemble was here. And a lot of people don't realize some of us. I mean, I walked around the street as a kid.
You did. You grew up.
I lived. We lived on Dauphine. My aunt lived on Royal, and I was always wandering around. And once again, it was safe back then.
But do you remember when they used to have the police, the beeper details?
Oh God!
And so every day the cop would come get $40 from you, and you'd have his beeper number.
Yeah,
it's like you'd but then I think someone was like, "Oh, he's trying to pipe his girlfriend. Oh, this guy's causing trouble." They'd haul the dude off in jail. I'm like, you pay this guy $40 a day, dude. Just like
no, it was great. For all you officers out there, we're not saying any names, but thank you.
The statute of limitations is up for that. It's over. I think they had a Dateline story that covered that up.
Either that. I mean, I've been waiting for Vibe to come out, or Vice, or
You think that cop probably made a killing if you think about it. He's making $40 a joint down here.
The good thing too now, even without the beepers, there were a lot of officers out here that were just friends with everyone.
Dude, they used to come out and hang and have dinner cokes with you. It's a different vibe, and that's part of the change. You don't know who your policemen are anymore. Some of it, which is like the old days. You kind of became friends with them. You invite them to your Christmas parties, and they were trying to pipe some of the waitresses most of the time.
Trying. You said trying.
They had other agendas to come in. They weren't coming to see us. I can guarantee you that.
I mean, it was a lot more fun back in there.
Yeah, Pedro, they just really liked you. They just wanted to see you.
Right. You mean they weren't here for me?
They were my friend.
They wanted that $40, and then they moved on to the shot girl.
So I'm really curious. I want to hear this breakup. Are you allowed to talk about this?
Yeah, I can talk. I mean, it's like
I mean, because I don't want to say names, but infamous for slapping lawsuits on people.
Yeah, right. And I fought back, and they were kind of like my parents for a while. When I came down here, they were like it was a good and it was a great environment for me to come into. It was still like a poorly run situation where I could make an input in it, where they felt that I earned my keep to be able to buy in. Nice. Which is, you know what? They gave me an opportunity, and I have nothing but respect for that opportunity to come in from an outsider, which is so hard to do.
That's very rare.
And
very rare.
I took the loan out, I took the money in, I went to work, and it worked for a long time. And I think some egos got in the way where once the money starts going three ways, and and then you're like, okay, this guy didn't come with this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. And then I didn't own enough percentage to have the voting rights, where they were making decisions that wasn't going to work for me. And so, but it was, we've kind of mended fences over the years. And
did you learn from it?
No, man, I've learned from it. I feel lucky that I was in the situation to do it. And I fought back, and I felt like the settlements were, I was happily with how it all played out.
Beautiful.
And it changed my life where before I had no freedom. I was there every day, 7 days a week, morning to close, and I gave up a lot of times with my kids. And if I wouldn't have did this, I wouldn't be able to have the life I have now.
Right.
And so it all worked out for a reason.
And what a life!
See, we had the life first.
Now we're like,
But
I keep checking my planner. What am I doing in next hour?
I felt like I was compensated properly at the end.
Good.
And, we had to fight. I had to fight to get it, but I think all parties ended up happy.
Nice.
And
then how long after that did you open Spirits?
well, I had other places, and that was part of the problem. I was still 30-some years old, so I kind of wanted to expand, and so they didn't want to expand at my pace. They wanted to be able to expand their products, but I couldn't do it anymore. So then I knew I knew the timing was going to go where no relationship they ever had would ended good, none, and I just knew that. And so then I got me a place in Kenner, and then I got Turtle Bay, and there was some resentment with that I could still grow, like this is like, why aren't we involved? But you're not doing nothing anymore. Like, but then when you wanted to do something, you did it without me, and it was one of those deals.
You would be surprised how common that scenario is with a lot of owner operators and managers here. It's the, hey, let's do more. No, we don't want to. Well, I'm going to do it, and then there's always resentment.
Right.
There's always like that was something that I noticed amongst a lot of owners, and I know Joey worked with a few of those folks, and it's like it's an interesting situation for sure.
They took it very personally.
Yes,
and it had nothing to do with them.
Right,
nothing to do.
Everything was
and there was
everything to do with.
And I would tell them, I go, there's so many opportunities that I helped my friends do that I took no pieces with. I didn't take any percentages. I did it.
Right.
I got it done, and I did that out of respect for you. But now you want to do something without me, and then you can't pull it through, but I can.
Right.
I mean, I still have the legs to do it.
Sure.
And so I did it, and it's been great, man. And it's like it was a lesson for me that I wanted to make everybody else around me better. You know what I mean? There was never no jealousy with me. Like I have a partner, Turtle Bay. We don't fight. I mean, we just like everything. You're the boss. You say goes, you know what I mean? You're the guy there. You're the boots on the ground, So
sure.
And because they used to play the game where, ask this one, ask that one. I'm like, and then nothing gets done, and it's like I don't do that.
It's got to be one.
Yep.
Ego's got to get put aside. It's got to be one.
And, But everybody thinks I'm like bitter, but dude, it was fucking great, dude. I mean, I came down here with $500 living in a hotel to making myself. I got a great family. I'm plenty of property now, and it was the best stepping stone a man could have.
Look, you've had some wonderful opportunities on the street. It's not just from that. I know you were like, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, because I actually met you when you were because that's when I started Cats Me Out back in the 90s, and I remember you being there, and it was one of those things where I'm like, you have made your own path and done it in a very humble way compared to a lot of men, because, I mean, yeah, see, Joey and I could tell you stories, and it's one of those things where it's like, really,
because after all of that, I still like the guys.
Yeah,
no, for sure,
people.
For
that's
sure,
his personality. That's part of New Orleans.
I don't want to talk because I still like them.
But you being from out of town, kind of like, well, I mean, other people were from out of town too, but you were by far one of the people, like, there's so many things that you've been able to accomplish on the street that most people don't know about. And that's kind of when I was like, we should bring Brad on the show. Like, right now, currently, you have your own food show.
Right.
Like, and it's so much fun to watch. And Adrian's in the house. Adrian Sotheby's.
Shout out to Adrian.
Shout out to Adrian.
Solid Ice Media.
Yeah.
What's the food show?
It's called Eat the Works Louisiana, and we go, and we have a different kind of philosophy. We go there and we charge nothing. And we just go there. People that ask it and they need help or they want to get their name out there, we just go do it. And it's kind of a hobby. There's some opportunities that I think are coming up for me on some bigger platforms. So I wanted to spend these last couple of years practicing because, it's like a muscle memory. If you don't do it, you lose it.
Yeah,
so I was like, I said, I need to get better at this. I'm not a great reader. But I'm pretty good on my feet. And so Adrian said, I want to do this food show. Will you do it? I said, man, I'd love to do it because I think it helps me with my muscle memory and for these other opportunities that are coming up.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's so Brad and Adrian came by when this was a year ago. This was before I had to shut down for my operation, and it was seeing you do that show, I was like, man, this dude 100% is taking life by the balls and being like, I'm going to do this.
You know, and
I'm just going to do this.
And I've been able to I've been in a weird place where I've had opportunities to help people, and even without taking the credit for it. And there's a reason why I got lucky to do this, I think. And I can take these shots that other people can't take. You know, even like with this last project with overturning the U.S. Supreme Court case that gave a monopoly to one company in the French Quarter.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, that's I took that on. No one else had the resources to do that, and I probably changed 20 families' lives doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody would get the Supreme Court case thrown in their face, and I'm saying, I don't care what the Supreme Court say. This is wrong,
Right.
and we're going to do something to make it right, and we did. So that was kind of opened up the vending. That way there wasn't a monopoly in the French Quarter. So that's one of the more prouder things that I did that no one knows I did, and I spent a lot of money doing it, but it's been rewarding for me.
That's great.
Just, I was at the festival this other day. This guy comes and hugged me. He goes, "Dude, I spent $50,000 trying to get into French Quarter," and I'm like, "You did it for me. You did it." I'm like, "Man, no problem, dude, man." And
That's awesome.
And I did it, and I told myself, I could have had some carts and stuff like that. I said, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be that guy. I want to do this for the right reasons to change.
And then you're also the producer on the new Lucky Dog documentary as well, right?
Yeah, we did a documentary on it. It's called Dirty Dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's it just went to the agent. It's been picked up by a couple streaming services, so we'll know exactly how it's all going to go in probably the next 30 days. It'll be
Do you have a release date?
It's not yet. It's
Dirty
we've got picked up by food streaming, Amazon's. That's who's picked it so far, but we want to wait to get them all together to release it. But it was about a 3-year project, and it was like, and I'd found about it the craziest thing about 15 years ago, and I was like, how does this even work?
Right,
and they go, this
right.
went to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the hell did a hot dog case go to the U.S. Supreme Court and gave one monopoly? And I was like, huh. So I started reading into that, and then I went to a council person years ago, and I said, dude, how can we fix this? And he goes, well, I don't want to. My husband goes hunting with them at their camp, and I was like, and I didn't have the resources I did now. You know what I mean? Where I could take this on and think of different angles. So we did. The timing was right, and I had some time. We were starting to do it right before COVID, and then I had time for COVID to really sink it in and figure out how to angle it to win, and we did it.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, we are. What were you gonna say, Joey?
Spirits.
I know. It's like we keep veering off on it, but this. I mean, Brad's such a great guest.
Brad, we do this every time.
No. This is great. This is great. But we do have to pause for this episode. We're going to come back with part 2, Brad. Brad Bohanna.
I don't like
Bohanna.
I don't like it.
But it's funny because every time
don't like
back in the day, I used to call you Brad Bohemian.
Wait, what?
I used to because I
Wait, what?
I didn't because I never really saw the spelling of his name. I always thought it was Bohemian.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's Brad Bohemian.
Brad
And then he did. See, spirits. It's a whole other thing. Like, hey, we could talk about bar rescue and all that fun stuff. And we'll come back on the
John
next
Stamos?
episode. There might be a John Stamos story in there. There might be a John Stamos story. It's kind of a weird running joke. So.
That's the guy from Full House.
Yo.
So, Joey, why don't you take us out? We'll come back.
Oh, man. Stick and stay, don't go away. Thanks for coming on this journey with us. We really do appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying myself. But remember, guys, it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt. Scotty, beam us up. Peace.
And before
Guess
we
what?
go,
Wait, I got it. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and guess what? Those guys from Bourbon Street. Also YouTube
and TikTok at T.
I always make him do this because
I can't remember.
Always. One of these days, I'm just gonna go say TGI Fridays.
Hey!
Those guys from Bourbon Street. That's TGFBS podcast. That's on TikTok. And Brad, why don't you tell us where we can find you? And before we completely sign out,
You can find me on Facebook, Brad Bohannon, and our Bohannon Brad at Instagram, and Eat the Works Louisiana is our food network thing that we're doing. So check us out.
Eat the Works Louisiana. All right, guys, we'll be back with part 2 with Brad.